summary, that's actually a picture of Lake Victoria from the place where Robert had his wedding. It was right there. That's the tent that people, some of the family members were under, but I thought it was a pretty picture of Lake Victoria. But here's just a quick summary. Microfinance is not a magic bullet. I mean, we just try to say this doesn't solve all their financial problems, but at least we're trying to get them on a path that they're going in the right direction and give them some confidence, give them some skills, give them some assets to be able to try and do some things in the future. Its impact is about understanding how financial services affect the lives of poor people. Reducing vulnerability, that's a big part of why we do this, especially with the women that are involved with human trafficking. We're trying to give them another lifestyle so they don't fall back into it. Actually, one of the positive stories out of all this is the women that Alice worked with 2 years ago, as far as we know, none of them have fallen back into the lifestyle of prostitution, that they've stayed out of that lifestyle and have gone on a different path. So this is changing lives, what we're trying to do with them. Impact assessments can help improve the focus, products, and performance. So we do a lot of assessments. And donor funding is something we're trying to improve on. We'd like to try to get more people helping with capitalizing on the fund that we use to give out these loans, because we'd like to give out more, but We International is a small nonprofit and we have limited resources as well, and so we'd really like to try to develop that a little bit more. This I found on the wall of one of the gals, Florence was her name, that makes beads, and this is a sign she had on the wall. It says, "A wise son pays attention to the elders." I just thought that was funny. So I took a picture of it. This is the base that we actually stayed at. It's a new building they actually just built a couple years ago. The only thing that was a little bit harrowing about our stay, and normally this doesn't bother me, but when we were sleeping in our room one night and it was storming outside, and all of a sudden I said to Alice, I said, "There's something in our room." And I could hear this. And I was like, "We got bats in our room." And so I'm sitting there sleeping, and all of a sudden I look up and I could see the bats flying around. But thankfully, we had mosquito netting over our bed. And but then all of a sudden the fluttering stopped, and I was like, "Oh, where'd he go?" And all of a sudden I looked up, and he's sitting right on our mosquito netting, right above my head. That was the only thing that was a little unnerving. But then Robert, who was sleeping in the room next to us, who didn't have mosquito netting on, he gets up. I hear him get up. So the next morning I said, "So did the bats come over and bother you, Robert?" And he's like, "Yeah, they landed on me twice. So I just pushed them off." Thank you. Thanks. I have a YouTube I'm going to show here at the end. I got 2 more slides. It's actually an interview that I did with Arios, who's one of our participants. I just want to show a couple minutes of this. I just uploaded it to YouTube last week. And Arios is a great participant. Actually, Arios made this basket. This is one of her products right here. And just an example of some of the product that the women make. Our whole table out here is full of product, and it's all from Uganda. And just an example of some of the bead work that they do. You should see the women make these beads. It's very interesting. They literally cut these triangles of paper, and they take a needle and they start rolling it and gluing it on the needle, and then they color it and shellac it, varnish it after that. And so it's quite the process to make these beads. And but they're really cool. So there's all kinds of them on the table out there, and they are actually for sale if you're interested. All the money goes back to help the war program. That's where it all goes. So if you're interested in anything, just talk to Alice, my wife Alice, in the back. She can tell you about the product. So I'm going to show this YouTube and see what else that they have on here. If you're interested in helping out, there's a few ways. We are looking. Yes.
Is the human trafficking situation there an organized activity, or are these women sort of free to come and go out of the activity?
I think it's very structured.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. And what happens?
Do they pay a price for these?
Yes. What happens, this is the unfortunate thing, and these are based on the stories that we hear, so I am getting this third-handed, but what we were told is that because the families are so desperate for food, they will sell the girls into the trafficking. They sell them, and then they end up in, doing the prostitution because they've been sold from the family. And the other tragic thing we just heard from last time, and this is just sad, one of the other things that's going on there is they have started doing human sacrifices, and and what they're being told, and it's coming from a certain segment of the population, that if they do these things, that they will be benefited by the spirits if they sacrifice somebody that's close to them. So the practice of human sacrificing has started again, and that's really tragic. Actually, Mary had her granddaughter almost abducted one day. Somebody tried to take her granddaughter on her because they were going to go down to the Nile and sacrifice her. So that is going on.
How much of an issue is AIDS with this?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. Yep. All those women probably are HIV positive. Yeah. Yep. And some of the kids are as well. Yeah.
Is there much access to treatment for them?
Limited. They do have retro drugs there for them, but they're very expensive. So not all of them have access to them. So it just depends on their economic status if they can get access to the drugs. You know. So we are soliciting if people are interested in sponsoring a business for $100. That's one way you can help. Contact We International at the contact information below. Right now our plan is we are going to go back to Uganda in 2012 if somebody would be interested in going on one of those trips. And also we have the product for sale to help the Women at Risk program. And that's WE's International's website if you want to check out more about who WE is. And you can also Google some information about human trafficking as well.